Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no. Wow, a release window as late as 2028 for Zombies 5. I don't know if I want to go for that. I don't want to see that happen. I want to see Zombies 5 happen a lot sooner than 2028 for everybody who is crazy about zombies. And there are tens of millions of people who are excited about Zombies 5. Why is that happening sooner? Well, I'll help you make sense of that. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke. I'm the voice of Descendants and Zombies, but I couldn't have been the voice of Descendants and Zombies if not for each and every one of you. Because it's one thing to upload videos about Descendants and Zombies, it's just a whole lot of people aren't making a whole lot of sense when it comes to the franchises because they don't know the first thing about it. I don't even know if they've even watched Descendants and Zombies. They criticize it because they take notes when they catch the premieres of Descendants and Zombies, dating all the way back to 2015. I was there when I saw the first Descendants movie. I thought it was fabulous. I remember watching the trailer thinking this is going to blow our minds, and it didn't cease to amaze me. It was a beautiful movie with so much to offer, and I think it still has so much to offer. Even though we've seen new characters, we've seen characters come and go, new characters come in to the franchise. I think Descendants 5, Wicked Wonderland is going to be something that is going to offer something spectacular. We have Liamani Segura coming in to play Red's sister Pink for the first time ever. We have never seen a sibling quarrel in the Descendants franchise up until now. I love the color schemes of Red and Pink. Red's character has the color red she loves so much. How Pink's character obviously has the color pink that she is dying to wear. And I think that this new remix of Life is Sweeter When You Are is causing a buzz in the entertainment industry because nobody ever thought that Liamani Segura and Kylie Cantrell would lend their voices to such a powerful remix. But you think about how they remade the song What's My Name, of course, with the Uma character played by China Anne McClain. What was very different was the remix still had the original voice, the original artist on the song. This song now has new artists, a new remix without Ruby Rose Turner, whose voice was incredibly satisfying. There was something about Ruby's voice on that song. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it as effectively now with Ruby not being a part of the Descendants script, but, it remains to be seen. I still am very excited about Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland because we have a year to go before its release and a lot of speculation, a lot of predictions yet to be made. As it gets closer, of course, more teasers will drop, new trailers, new storylines will be suggested. Of course, the time travel concept has been removed from this, and this is why Ruby is no longer a part of Descendants. But in my mind, you could have easily had something for Ruby to do. You could have put Ruby over in a new way. And I think that just taking her out of the franchise is just one way of looking at this and one way of jumping to a conclusion that we don't need to be jumping to. Because, of course, Ruby could have somehow fit in to this storyline rather than just referring to Liamani Segura's character as a mini Bridget and a substitution. I mean, Ruby could have easily had something to do with present-day Wonderland, even if the storyline would have been written around having to go back in time and save Ruby from obscurity. I would have went for that. I would have been Ruby's knight in shining armor without even thinking about him. What's going on here? I think that with all the new characters coming into Descendants' franchise, I think there could have been easily something found for Ruby to do. She could have had a love interest. She could have had a new storyline created, a reason for being a part of present-day Wonderland. For me, it was all about emotion for Descendants and Zombies. It was really an emotional time. When Descendants first premiered in 2015, of course, the story was very deep in the first movie. It was a movie to introduce us to the new characters of this franchise that was going to captivate millions for the first time since High School Musical and Hannah Montana had gone to the heights of unprecedentedness with Disney. Of course, everybody thought that Hannah Montana was just inferior years ago. I remember all the promotion, all the merch. People were going crazy for Hannah Montana and High School Musical. And when I was a teenager, I never ever thought that High School Musical would ever be surpassed. But I can easily say now with 100% confidence it has been because of the success we've seen with Descendants and Zombies. Not so much hype for High School Musical and Hannah Montana years ago is what we're seeing with this. This has absolutely exploded in popularity, and everybody is just so excited about a new installment of Descendants every single year. It's always being brought up in conversation. I mean, you're going to school with your friends, you're getting off the school bus, getting out of your cars when your parents drop you off to school and you're running over to each other. Did you see the new Descendants movie? Did you see Zombies just last night? And I say this because I know what it's like to be all of you. I know what it's excited to be about a Descendants or Zombies movie. I sit down every night when a Zombies movie premieres, I watch it. I sit down every night when a Descendants movie premieres and I watch it. And I take no notes because a lot of people will just sit in front of their plasma TVs and they will criticize Descendants and Zombies for what it was worth and tell you how they felt about it. I don't want to do that. I just want to be as excited as all of you. So when I first moved into this house, I jumped at the opportunity to move into a house near a soda plantation and a chemical plant and talk about Descendants and zombies. I didn't plan to move into a house near a soda plantation and a chemical plant. It kind of just happened for me because I wanted to talk about Descendants and zombies for the value of it, how important it was to everybody, because it really was a special moment for everybody. When we saw the torch pass from Zed and Addison's characters to Victor and Nova and how they were going to change the Zombies franchise. Not only change the Zombies franchise, but see so many supernatural creatures debut in the Zombies franchise that we'd never seen before. I mean, new songs like Dream Come True, Go My Own Way, which was a very unique twist on the Zombies franchise, really brought it to life. And I really didn't understand how Meg Donnelly believed that it was going to be a Hannah Montana camp rock kind of vibe presented with the music of Zombies 4, but you take a look at the release window from 2022 all the way up to 2025. It's been about 4 years since the Zombies movie, and what happens is the story gets better. So the longer of a release window that is suggested for Zombies or Descendants, the better the movie is, the more powerful the script is. And oftentimes when the script is too emotional and the emotions are too high, they go to music to tell the story and to convey emotion. And that's what we saw with Zombies. The music got better, the story was so powerful, and it's setting up for a great Zombies 5. No matter how people feel about it, the release window being suggested up until as late as 2028, I'll go for that, because of course it will create a lot more predictions. More people will be discussing it, and more people will be excited by the time it happens, if in fact it's not until 2028. Now, I will be honest with each and every one of you. I'm just as upset as each and every one of you with the release window now suggesting as late as 2028, because I was hoping for a 2027 release window for Zombies, because I was there for the very first Zombies movie back in February of 2018. And I was just as excited as each and every one of you. I know what it's like to be you. Sitting at home, you can't wait for the latest Descendants or Zombies movie. The storyline sometimes doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to. There are so many predictions about Descendants now, everything from Red and Chloe hitting it off, to having a baby, to seeing Bridget's character return to the franchise for some particular reason. Why they're not having it with Ruby, I don't know. My heart breaks. But I love this so much, how some of the things that happen in Descendants you don't necessarily expect, like Princess and the Frog and Encanto seeing characters now. Again, this is what I go back to what I was saying about how, all these new characters coming into the Descendants franchise sometimes presents confusion, because there are a lot of people out there that don't really know the first thing about Encanto and Princess and the Frog. But the thing is, the more characters we see introduced into the franchise creates for more storylines, because you can't tell a story without a storyline or a direction. So I think that the more characters we see come into this definitely sends us in different directions and not one specific direction. Like, for example, in the first Descendants, people criticize this new franchise for all these new characters and all these new storylines in a very different direction. But the thing is, the plot was so simple in Descendants, so Zombies was needed. Because Zombies was a very different storyline. It was a very different concept of how a girl and a zombie could fall in love. We got that from the duet between Zed and Addison. I mean, nobody ever thought a girl and a zombie could fall in love for as long as they did and last an eternity, but it was proven to be true. And the thing about the zombie script was we didn't know what supernatural creatures to expect from Zombies to Zombies 2. By Zombies 2, we had werewolves. By Zombies 3, we had aliens. By Zombies 4, the obvious vampires, and I was really excited about vampires, seeing their introduction into the Zombies franchise, because we had never seen this before, and I have a history of vampires and vampire TV, so I was ecstatic over that. The thing about Zombies that separated from Descendants, while Descendants was ultimately far more popular because of the characters and the powerful script, the thing was, Zombies was a story that was very unpredictable, and you didn't know what was going to happen from one moment to the next. Descendants was just a little bit too predictable, in my opinion. I think that you pretty much could decipher what was going to happen. Obviously, Ben and Mel were going to end up together. The barrier was eventually going to have to be closed. This was going to happen. That was going to happen. You almost could see it from a mile away before it ever happened with Descendants. But with Zombies, we saw everything in Zombies 4, from Zed and Addison telling each other that they loved each other, to Zed zombieing out for forever, the confliction with the blood fruit. So many wonderful things happened in Zombies. And Zombies 4 was a very emotional movie. And I will never forget. That's the reason why I will never ever forget that premiere, because that premiere really set things in motion for a new franchise, new stars, new chances, new opportunities. It represented second chances, it represented hope, it represented everything all in the one. And a lot of the time that you were watching Zombies, you were thinking about yourself in these situations. What would ever happen to me if I did find true love? What would ever happen to me if I could stay in love with somebody for forever, become best friends with somebody for forever? There were so many things that you thought about with the Zombies franchise. I was so so excited about Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, I was sitting here counting down the hours, the minutes, and the seconds to Zombies 4 because I had read about all the teasers that was going to be happening in this. Of course, I heard Meg Donnelly say they were entering the words "I love you" into the script for the very first time. And I was excited about it. I was ecstatic about that because we never did hear Troy and Gabriella say "I love you" in the High School Musical franchise. We never did hear Hannah Montana tell her boyfriend that she loved him in the Hannah Montana franchise. And if we did, I can't remember hearing it. So this was really the first time for a Disney movie, a Disney Channel or Disney Plus movie, that we had heard the words "I love you," and I was ecstatic about that because I was a guy who never heard the words "I love you" enough in his lifetime, and I really believe, I created this show because I believe that the words "I love you" are never said enough. I think there's never enough kind people seen in this world or enough kind actions. So one of the reasons why I created the show was to spread my own message of kindness, and I like to believe that I did that. In one way or another, I like to believe that I did spread a message of kindness, but I couldn't have done it without your guys' help, because before all of you, I was just a podcast host that was talking about a lot of stuff like video games and movies and TV that really didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then Descendants happened for me in 2015 when I was going through a really rough time in my life. I couldn't make sense of my life, long story short. A lot of stuff was happening for me, and Descendants for me represented a second chance for my show and a real revitalization, if you would, of my career. Revitalization, because I was in a position where nobody was watching my show. Nobody was taking me serious. And then Descendants and Zombies happened for me, and I was walking through the forests of Oradam one night, and you guys embraced me with hugs, and you've been watching my videos ever since. So what gives me the right to come on this show and talk about Descendants and Zombies in a way that it doesn't deserve to be talked about at 10 a.m.? I could be like all these other critics out there that are criticizing Descendants and Zombies who just can't make sense of it, and I really don't want to have to do that. If I'm going to create a show about Descendants and Zombies, and I'm going to create a show about Descendants and Zombies, and I'm going to talk about it in a way that it deserves to be talked about, in a way that you'll feel proud that you watch this video. I'm proud to call yourself a Descendants and Zombies fan, because I know there are some really die-hard fans of Descendants and Zombies who do exist out there, who have all the merch, who have all the movies, who have all the coats, who have all the dolls, and I respect you for that. So for me to come on here and say that Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland is not really adding up, the anticipation and all the hype that's being put behind this is really nonsense. I don't want to do that because a lot of people just don't want to give this a chance. People will say all the time they've made enough Descendants movies, they need to stop making Descendants movies. Zombies has seen its height of its popularity, really reached its peak. No, it hasn't. I don't know how these podcast hosts get away with saying to you that they're running out of supernatural creatures to have seen into the Zombies franchise. If anything, we're running out of supernatural creatures. We're not running out of supernatural creatures because there are so many still yet to see their introduction into the franchise. What about gargoyles, goblins, trolls? So many different ways this can go, and so many different ways the plot can unfold. Like confliction between, of course, Victor and Nova's characters, who I know to all of you look adorable together. You're excited to see what the future has in store for them, what kind of confliction we'll see, if the title will change from Zombies. Now the Zed is no longer the lead. This is why I've been campaigning for Jonathan Clarke to get in on the Zombies franchise, because if Jonathan Clarke was in on the Zombies franchise, I would take over the lead as the zombie from Zed, and we could still call it Zombies 5. But because Jonathan Clarke is not a part of the script, not an actor, then obviously we're going to have to settle for a new title if indeed it happens. But I still want to put it out there that I will zombie out for each and every one of you, and I will be a part of Zombies 5 and live the whole Tom Cruise kind of lifestyle, because there's just something about, wanting to dangle from a helicopter that looks pretty exuberant and a whole lot of fun. I've always wanted to live the Tom Cruise kind of lifestyle out. I've just never been given the opportunity to do it with everything I've had to do with entertainment. And I really do like the PR, too, for Zombies. The PR is beyond all the PR that we get for Descendants. Descendants' PR is fabulous, too, don't get me wrong. But the PR for Zombies, they show up. They're always there. All the cast members are a part of it. Meg Donnelly and Milo Manhunt did an extensive amount of PR for the Zombies franchise, and they deserved all the credit in the world for doing that, because they really did show up. And they really did do a fabulous job, hiding things about zombies to keep you excited. They didn't just come out and say that this was going to happen in the Zombies franchise. They just hid things, and by the time Zombies 4 happened, a lot of unexpected things happened in the movie that you didn't think was going to happen. Like, I never ever thought one of the characters for Zombies would be so inspired by karate. Nova has inspired me to lift weights at a gym, kick a whole lot of ass. I think that would be so cool if we saw, Nova have more emphasis on, being a karate kind of kid, because it would really influence a lot of people to sign up for cheerleading, sign up for the karate team, sign up for the swim team, what have you, because of how athletic she is and just how unpredictable this character can be. She seems sometimes really crazy on times, but I'm excited to see where we go from here and how this love story between Nova and Victor is going to play out, because we heard the words "I love you" for the first time in a zombie script between Zed and Addison. So could we hear the words "I love you" for the first time between Victor and Nova? Now, given their age, we probably won't. But as the years go on and they age and they get older and they understand more about their characters and the development of them, because there's a development process with characters, it's called character psychology. And once you get to a point where you understand your character to the point where you can say and feel confident enough to say "I love you" to each other, and the chemistry, broadens, we could see it. But I think what we're in a position right now is for Victor and Nova to take over and really to introduce themselves to you in a way that they've never been introduced before. And characters of the past, like Troy and Gabriella, and Hannah Montana and Lily, were introduced to you years ago. And I say this because I was a part of every generation of Disney, the Disney Channel revolution. I was a part of the animation era where they moved out of animation and into live-action TV, and that was an emotional time for me because I was a huge fan of Darkwing Duck and Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and The House of Mouse, and the Timon and Pumbaa TV series. I watched it all. Bonkers, Goof Troop, you name it. I was a part of it, and yes, I drink my coffee out of a Mickey Mouse coffee mug every morning, but we haven't got to tell anybody that. So when they moved in to the TV action era, I was really excited about it. And now, knowing that a franchise like Descendants of Zombies has exploded in popularity, it makes me even more excited and feel somewhat enthralled about the future of Disney, because, Descendants of Zombies is one way of looking at it. What kind of doors now will be opened up for new franchises to come, and what franchises will be popular 10 years from now? I honestly don't think there's going to be something as popular as Descendants of Zombies, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here with the future, because there's so much of a story to be told. Supernatural creatures going to be settling into Seabrook. Apparently, what the plot is suggesting for zombies is there's going to be a new supernatural force out of that vortex. There's going to be mermaids settling in Seabrook, and there's going to be a new threat that will pose a threat to the existence of supernatural creatures living together in Seabrook. Because if you remember, the original Zombies movie had the zombies and the humans separated by a barrier. A chemical plant had exploded, a lime soda plantation explosion, everything went to hell, and a barrier was separating humans and zombies from coexisting. By the end of Zombies, humans and zombies learn to coexist, and then one supernatural creature after another by Zombies 2, werewolves by Zombies 3, aliens by Zombies 4, and vampires. You get the point. So now it seems like all these supernatural creatures have learned to coexist, learned to get along, and now something far greater than they could ever have imagined is going to pose a threat to Seabrook. While in Descendants, we have conflict between Red, Chloe, and possibly her sister, a three-way, in Descendants for the first time ever. So I'm really excited about all these storylines, because you can't tell a story without a great storyline, and storyline development is really critical in movies like this, because you not only have to create a great storyline, you have to create a storyline that the age demographic for Descendants of Zombies is going to understand, because the age demographic for Descendants of Zombies really varies. I saw this at the Worlds Collide Tour. There were people at the Worlds Collide Tour 7 years old. There were people at the Worlds Collide Tour 17 years old. There were people up as high as 17 years old attending the Worlds Collide Tour. So they're going to understand the story and the concept a lot better than someone 7 years old. So you have to create a storyline. You have to sit down in a board meeting and say, what are they going to understand? What are all these age demographics together going to understand? And what is going to be the most powerful way to distribute Descendants of Zombies? It is very difficult to put out something very appealing to a lot of people, because a lot of people understand more than they're ever given credit for, and I just want to put that out there, that the Descendants of Zombies fans do understand more than they're ever given credit for. They were excited to hear Zed and Addison say the words "I love you" for the first time in a script. They were excited to see how the plot was going to unfold by Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires. And I was excited too, and I'm 38 years old. So I'm really excited to see where we go from here. And if I'm excited about it, you're going to be excited about it. And you're going to have a lot to say about Descendants of Zombies. And that's the thing about Descendants of Zombies fans, is they are incredibly supportive. They are incredibly supportive of who and what they believe in. And I got that from this show, because when I created this show, each and every one of you just fell in love with the videos. You fell in love with me. And I have each and every one of you to thank for that, because without you, I honestly don't know where I'd be without you, because this show had 5 subscribers last year, and now this show has 3,000 subscribers and has over 50,000 views put up on the shoot. I honestly don't know where I'd be without you. The Descendants and Zombies universe, I have drawn the conclusion, are the most incredible and most supportive group of fans that anyone could ever provide commentary for. So I can honestly say that if I have to talk about Descendants and Zombies for the rest of my life, I have no problem doing that. I see no issues with that, because you guys have deserved to hear far better commentaries than what you've been hearing about Descendants and Zombies for what feels like forever. And I just wanted to be that guy to give that to you. So the way this show works is later on this afternoon, there will be another video about Descendants and Zombies. Later on this evening, there will be a couple of videos dropped on this YouTube channel, because I take great pride in creating these videos for every single person who has ever said to me that they are a fan of Descendants and Zombies, because like I said here earlier, I know what it's like to be you. I know what it's like to be let down, to be disappointed about the plot of Descendants and Zombies, and that's why I've advocated to be a writer for the Descendants and Zombies franchises, because I think that more creative control can be bestowed upon people like Freya Sky and Malachi Burton, especially with how people from the Zombies franchise years ago wanted to have more creative control but never got it, because Disney, of course, didn't want anything leaked. They wanted the plot to go a certain way. They had a different direction than what the stars would probably wanted it to head in, and that's what created a lot of confliction, because if you notice, people like Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson wanted to so desperately leave their Disney past behind them. I think that if you made this a more enjoyable experience, people like Meg Donnelly and Mila Manheim wouldn't want to sit behind the camera as fast as what they do, because they want that thing. They want creative control. And if they don't get it from being an actor or an actress, that's what they make the decision to do, because creative control, gives you a form and feeling of independence. That's the thing about the entertainment industry. And take it from a guy that's been involved with the entertainment industry for forever. When you have to do podcast interviews with people, you have to sign papers that actually, consent to being able to say things and how the interview has to go. And it's really difficult. So I think a sense of freedom and creative control is something that these stars desperately need and have wanted for forever. So I think that with Zombies being the first one to do that by Zombies 3, that was a great move. So I think the same thing can happen for the Descendants cast. But again, given the popularity of Descendants, I guess Disney's always wanted to take it in a very different direction. I give all the credit in the world to all these Descendant stars for really bringing it to life, and all in light of all the criticism they have received, because they have received their fair share of criticism, and criticism they did not deserve. I think that Kylie Control's heart was broken for many reasons that were totally unacceptable, and I saw these videos where Kylie Control was crying, and I wanted to do something about it, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I created this show. And you guys were incredibly supportive of my vision for this show and wanted to get what I wanted to get the most out of it for having done. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support you've shown this YouTube channel, because I honestly don't know where I'd be without you, and I hope you will join me later on this afternoon for more great videos about Descendants and Zombies, because I still have a lot more to say today about Descendants and Zombies, because these franchises have inspired us in so many unbelievable ways. And I think they've inspired us in so many unbelievable ways that are given not enough credit for. I mean, more people now are standing up for what they believe in. More people are feeling encouraged. And that is something to take away from Descendants and Zombies, because I know people felt encouraged from High School Musical. But did you really feel that encouraged as what you were feeling now from Descendants and Zombies 10 years ago? No, you didn't. I think that High School Musical and Hannah Montana represented a generation of Disney fans that was far different from this generation of Disney fans, because Disney fans now are stronger. Disney fans now believe more. Disney fans believe that, one can fall in love with a zombie and stay in love with a zombie for forever now. A girl can fall in love with a zombie. There's so much of a chance represented with Descendants and Zombies, and so much more to take away from these two franchises than ever given credit before. And as the movies go on, as the years go on, the stories are getting better. The stories are feeling more enthralled. You're feeling more compelled by these stories, and that is truly unbelievable. I really appreciated how they shot scenes not only in the daytime too for Zombies, but they shot a significant portion of this in the nighttime, and really brought it to life in a way that I don't think any other Disney Channel or Disney Plus franchises have been brought to life before. So it really taught us to really stay calm and zombie on, even in the most bizarre of circumstances, very different circumstances from any other Disney Channel franchise or Disney Plus franchise we have seen. Do I think this is far more popular than Hannah Montana and High School Musical? Sure I do. Especially when Vanessa Hudgens now is just more focused on wanting to be a professional wrestler than she is an actress, bouncing around the ropes of a professional wrestling ring. So because of how Vanessa Hudgens now and Zac Efron have gone on to other ventures, and don't want anything to do with Disney ever again to reboot High School Musical or Camp Rock. Like it's been rumored now for a while since the Camp Rock reunion and it being teased. Not to say I wouldn't go for it. I think Descendants and Zombies has a huge opportunity in front of it, and I think the best thing they can do right now is make the most of that opportunity. This has been an incredible journey that you girls have got me on, and it's been an honor of mine to be able to sit behind this podcast microphone to review Descendants and Zombies every single morning of my life, every single night of my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because I really believe that kindness really does go further in this world than sometimes we often realize or forget to realize. So I think this is the perfect opportunity and time for us to bestow some kindness on somebody this morning who needs that, and you can do that by spreading your own message of kindness. Keep kindness in your heart, as I will keep you in mine, and I hope you will join me later on this afternoon for another review of Descendants and Zombies the way it was meant to be reviewed on this YouTube channel, your YouTube channel, the YouTube channel we created together on this incredible journey that we're in on together, because there's no other niche I would rather die with than Descendants and Zombies, for how incredibly supportive you are of me and having made me your voice of Descendants and Zombies. With that having been said, bye YouTube. We will talk again in just a few hours from now. Be kind to one another.